Kudzukian Network presents Riffin on Jazz with your host, Howard Robertson and Malvin Massey.
Sonny Rollins.
You got to improve, man. You got Coltrane and Ornette Coleman and these boys coming up. You better get your stuff together.
Mr. Miles Davis.
White people are funny. In America, they thought that I just woke up one morning and had the blues and started playing the trumpet. But it don't go like that. You can't explain that to them.
Miles was able to make something that was wrong into something that was right.
Now they know. I'm not an accident.
Hey. Isn't that what he used to say back in the day?
Back in the day.
Welcome to Riffin on Jazz. I'm Howard Robertson.
And I'm Malvin Massey.
And you know, Riffin on Jazz is your weekly visit with friends talking about the music that we love.
And it is that classic African-American art form called jazz.
Malvin Massey Jr.
How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm good.
Today
surviving.
we're going to be, hey man, it's the most wonderful time
of the
year.
Yes.
So that's why we're riffing on CHAZ. Did you notice?
Yeah. Well,
CHAZ.
Okay. Christmas jazz. Okay.
Very good.
It works.
Very good.
Yeah.
You know how I like acronyms and all that kind of thing. And we're gonna
titles.
There you go. We're gonna get right into it with a group that is the most phenomenally sounding group that you've ever heard vocally. And I'm not going to tell you who it is. I don't have to tell you who it is. They're doing the most wonderful time of the year.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. Dong, ding, dong. With the kids jingle belling and everyone telling you be of good cheer. Oh, it's the most wonderful time of the year. Dong, ding, dong. It's the happiest season of all. With those holiday greetings and gay happy meetings when friends come to call. Oh, it's the happiest season of all. There'll be parties for hosting, marshmallows for toasting, caroling out in the snow. There'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the glories of Christmases long, long ago. Oh, Christmas is long, long ago. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Dong, ding, dong. There'll be much mistletoeing and hearts will be glowing when loved ones are near. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Yeah. There'll be much mistletoeing and hearts will be glowing when loved ones are near. Oh, it's the most wonderful time of the year. There'll be parties for hosting, marshmallows for toasting, caroling out in the snow. There'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the glories of Christmases long, long ago. Christmas is long, long ago. It's the most wonderful time of the year. There'll be much mistletoeing and hearts will be glowing when loved ones are near. It's the most wonderful time. It's the most wonderful time. It's the most wonderful time. Most wonderful time of the year. Time of the year.
Take 6.
Hey, man.
Man.
There is nobody else that sounds like that.
You said
There's
it.
nobody else that sounds like
You
that.
said it a little while ago, too, because it's not just that they're harmonizing. It's that they're doing intense and intricate harmonies.
It's complex harmony, yes.
Yes, and
there's sextet. It's 6 of them, okay? And as you well know, most folks sing in 4-part harmony.
Yeah.
Most groups sing in 4-part harmony. And as your church choir, you got and you got soprano, you got alto, you got tenor, and you got baritone or bass.
Yeah.
Okay? And it's just 4. So what do you do with the other 2?
You gotta have musicians.
Oh, you do all yeah. You suspend chords. You got flatted fists. You got all kinds of cool stuff, and they sing it all, man, a cappella.
That is so cool. That track, I love that. The most wonderful time of the year.
That's it.
Yeah, that one came from their 2010 release on Heads Up, on Dave Love's label.
And everybody, we've talked about Take 6, as you mentioned before. We've talked about Take 6 in the past.
Gospel show and the singing show, acapella show. Yeah.
From Oakwood College in Huntsville, Alabama, a Seventh-day Adventist institution. And that's known for producing excellent musicians.
Like John Stoddard that plays for Kirk Whalum.
Absolutely. Like Brian McKnight, who... who is the little brother to
Clark.
Brian to McKnight, Claude McKnight, who's the older brother. So hey, phenomenal group, and we're talking about
Christmas Jazz.
CHAZ.
The most wonderful time of the year is the name of the CD too.
Yes.
By the way, that's the first track on there.
Yes. So now we go to another guy that is a drummer, most notably known for being the drummer with the Pat Metheny group. We're talking about none other than Danny Gottlieb
and Pete Levin
doing Joy to the World. beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, man, yeah. I love it when they take a classic and make it and update it a little bit. But it's still the classic.
Feels good. Feels good. CHAZ. We're riffing on CHAZ. That means Christmas jazz. And, you know, we are playing artists that some of which you may not be familiar, with whom you may not be familiar, and some of these renditions you may never have heard again. But that's the whole point. That's the whole point. Most of Riffin is about exposure, so we want to expose you guys.
Yeah, this is Danny Gottlieb and Pete Levin, Joy to the World. It's from the New Age of Christmas that they released in 1980 on the Atlantic label. And it is a very, very popular CD. And they did a lot of classic carols, but they did them in an updated version like this.
Well,
without disrespecting it, you know?
Right. But I want to talk a little bit about how prolific Danny Gottlieb is. Gottlieb has performed on over 400, that's 400 albums, earning 14 Grammy Award nominations and 4 wins.
Originally with Pat Metheny, right?
He's a member of the University of North Florida faculty, and he's a full-time professor of jazz studies. But so prolific, he's played with everybody.
Yeah.
You know, from Flora Purim to Aito and Michael Brecker and Randy Brecker and Elaine.
He toured around with the Blues Brothers band and
Michael Franks.
Recorded with Booker T and the MGs.
Absolutely.
Gosh, yeah. And then Pete Levin, about the same keyboard player. They both played for Gil Evans, Gil Evans Orchestra. And Pete Levin was the keyboard player, and he also played French horn.
Sure. Riffing on CHAZ, Christmas jazz. Now, I want you to listen very, very closely to this next piece by Russ Freeman, and I want you individually and collectively to think about where you heard this piece of music, Riffin.
have always thought that is probably one of the prettiest Christmas songs ever.
It is, and for which people pay very dearly. Now, I challenge the audience to remember where you were when you heard that last. Let me answer that question. Undoubtedly, you were at a wedding, and they were playing that at the wedding. I know because I paid serious money for members of the string section of the Memphis Symphony to play at my only daughter's wedding, and they played that.
Is that right?
Yes.
Jesus,
yes,
Joy
that was
Man's
one of the
Desiring.
pieces that they played.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this one we listened to, that was from Russ Freeman's Holiday CD from 1995 when it was on the GRP label. Mm-hmm. A lot of good Christmas music came out of GRP in those years.
Russ was born in Nashville and has some pedigree too, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Because his daddy was a session musician, right?
Yep. Studio man. Yeah, Russ is so cool too, man. He started the Rippingtons. He wrote all the music for the Rippingtons and 2 or 3 other groups.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, look, if you're not riffing, you must be tripping.
Say that.
That's right. That's right. Make sure you download the Kudzukian App at the App Store or Google Play so you can get riffing every week, all the time, anytime you get ready. We're going to be here all the time, so we don't want you to miss a moment of Riffin on Jazz. And the other thing that we always do every week, and I must do now, is we have to lift libations. And today we've got a red blend from Chile. And Melvin,
yes,
Malvin, as you well know, we lift life and libations to life-loving jazz here on Riffin on Jazz. You're listening on the Kudzukian Network, and we'll be right back for more. I'm going to drink after I get through with this, Larry. Thank you very much. Back after this.
Happy holidays to you, Kudzukian.
The Kudzukian Network presents Cities Now with Carol Coletta.
I'm Carol Coletta, host of Cities Now, a brand new show hosted here on the Kudzukian Network. With Cities Now, we want to help listeners make smart decisions for their cities.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Little by little, the city is rebuilding itself with businesses such as urban farms and breweries.
We'll interview the sharpest people on the thorniest issues facing cities now.
Cities Now, part of the Kudzukian Network.
Kudzukian!
Welcome back to Riffin on Jazz on the Kudzukian Network. And we are riffing on CHAZ. That would be Christmas jazz. Melvin.
Yeah, well, that's okay. That's all right.
Why do I keep? That's because now I know why it is. It's because I ran into a fan and he says he never misses riffing with me and Melvin.
I'm so used to that.
Are you used to that?
Yes, I am.
As opposed to Malvin.
Yeah.
You know,
I always tell
I have
people
known
my
your
father.
name for a long
I always tell people my daddy was a twin and his folks had no imagination. Name one Melvin and one Malvin.
All right. So,
in the Christmas spirit,
yes,
I like this sound.
Yes. This is what we're doing. And like we said earlier, you may not be totally familiar with some of the artists. You may not be totally, and we hope you aren't totally familiar with the renditions of some of these classic Christmas songs, but it's about time that you got exposed to some new stuff.
Well, now this new Christmas song was written in 1818.
Brand new, hot off the press. So, it would be called What Kind of Night?
Silent Night
by bassist Julian Vaughn, and he's from Kansas City and has done a lot of stuff. But you know, while a lot of folk are totally into funk on their jazz bass, Julian is more of a finesse player.
Exactly, I'd say that too. And you know another thing about it, he grew up in church.
Say that. The Greater Triple Rock Missionary Baptist Church. We're talking about Julian Vaughn here on Riffin on Jazz.
Silent Night.
Don't you like that style?
Oh, I like that style, man.
That is smooth.
Now that's that one is from the a CD called The Carols, from Carols, The Sounds of Christmas. And it's various artists from the Trippin' and Rhythm label, Jeff Lunt's label. Mm-hmm. And they just released that one this year. Mm-hmm. But people like Kayla Waters and Kim Waters, Nicholas Cole, all these smooth jazz guys that have been releasing nice stuff here recently, and Julian Vaughn, Nick Coleon. These are all on that label. But I love that version of Silent Night.
I do too. And I love that. I love the stylistic way he plays in terms of that. And, it reminds me of somebody else too whose daddy was a preacher and he grew up in church. Who am I talking about?
Oh, that's a bunch.
Wayman Tisdale.
Wayman Tisdale.
Yes.
He does kind of sound like Wayman, doesn't he?
He does. And I would bet that Wayman was probably an influence for him. But Julian has played all over the place in places like Dubai, Nairobi, Italy, Spain, Germany. And he's been around the world a few times and played on some very popular, very successful cut. So Junior Bond doing Silent Night.
Yeah, he played drums at church when he was a kid before he switched over to bass.
But of course, you know why? You know why? Because you're gonna have a drummer that is gonna take a gig in the club rather than come to church on a particular night, and he's gonna miss. And somebody got to sit in for him. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we go from that to a guy that we've got a lot to say about. We're talking about Gerald Albright, This Christmas. Absolutely, totally. So, Gerald Albright.
Man.
and for my money, he is the reincarnation of Cannonball Adderley.
Oh, yeah.
I have said this, but, a couple of things I want to say first of all, about the song, all right? This Christmas has become a quintessential classic Christmas song. And as compared to some of the other ones that we played today, it is very, very young. This Christmas was composed by Donny Hathaway, the late, great Donny Hathaway, and a lady whose name is Nadine McKenna, who is a lyricist who wrote the words. She happens to be a cousin to a neighbor and friend of mine whose name is Otha Brandon. And, Otha told me that when she gave Donnie the lyrics and Donnie came back with the music, she didn't like it. She didn't like the song. She said it was too fast. She had heard in her mind it being a lot slower and whatnot, and said she begrudgingly went along with the program and said, all right.
Well,
probably the biggest.
That was very fortunate that she went along with it.
The biggest selling Christmas song of all time. But that was Gerald Albright.
Yeah, it's This Christmas, of course. It's from Making Spirits Bright, a smooth jazz Christmas from GRP in 2001. You know, so they're not like the old GRP did, like the Christmas Collection Volume 1 and Volume 2 back in the 80s. And both of those, we played something off of them on our first Christmas show that we did.
Right.
As a matter of fact, this song, This Christmas, and the one that's coming up next, they're the only two that we played on the other show, on the last Christmas show. But we did the originals on that show.
Yes.
With Donny Hathaway and Nat King Cole.
Yes. But we're exposing people to new things now here while we're riffing on CHAZ.
CHAZ, I love
Christmas jazz. That's going to bring us to a break, actually. But we want to, tell you that we appreciate you listening to us here on Riffin on the Kudzukian Network, and we are here all the time. We want to thank all of you who come up to us and you see us and you respond to us on social media and all of that, and you are avid listeners, and we deeply appreciate that.
Really feel blessed about it.
That's it. You're listening to Riffin on Jazz on the Kudzukian Network, and we'll be right back after this.
Happy holidays from the Kudzukian Network.
Merry Christmas,
I like the way he said funking around.
Yeah,
that's what they're doing.
I did like that, but he said the older.
I'm gonna start using it.
He said the older electorate is funky.
Well, basically, it's what he's saying. He's saying that midterm elections
funking around,
and that's true
with our future.
Because it's noted. And I think you're absolutely
don't let
midterm elections.
Don't let them
always
funk up the future.
Oh my God.
And we welcome you back to Riffin on Jazz, or rather Riffin on CHAZ, as we are doing today. It's our Christmas show for 2019. It's the second time we've done a Christmas show. And what we try to do is use songs that we didn't use before and introduce you to some artists that you haven't heard before and some arrangements of some of these songs that you might not have heard before. And I hope that's what's happening here.
I hope so. We try to keep it fresh.
Yeah.
We try to keep it fresh. We try to take fresh takes on things. We try to play fresh music. I mean, jazz that you may not have heard before, artists that you may not have heard before. But hey, that's what it's all about, getting exposed.
We're trying our best to make sure that people understand that jazz is very much alive and well. I don't care what anybody says.
And yet evolving.
And growing, yes, every day. And so this cat that we got to talk about now, he has played with an awful lot of people.
Okay.
Yeah, and so a lot of people are not really familiar with him.
And we're going to get into it after we hear his take on one of the most classic Christmas songs of all time. It's called what, Malvin?
The Christmas song?
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, the Christmas song.
All right. And don't I love to say this cat's name? Manyongo Jackson.
Right on.
Yes. Yes.
Man, what a cool way to do the Christmas song.
Oh, yeah. He's a percussionist. And you guys, this guy is the most prolific musician you probably never have heard of.
Yeah, really. He played with a lot of people, man.
He's been playing for over 50 years and performed with people like, hold on to something, Miles Davis, Stevie Wonder, Sting, Herbie Hancock, Diane Reeves, Kenny Loggins, George Howard, Ronnie Laws, The Temptations, The Four Tops, The Supremes.
And dozens of others.
And many, 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 many more.
Yeah.
Manyongo Jackson. Isn't that cool?
That's something else. That's you can't do that song wrong unless you just totally don't know anything about music. But to put that little Latin beat on there,
oh yeah, you can do it. You can't do it wrong, but you can do it different.
Yeah,
and you can do it not so good.
That one, no, I mean, with the birds and animals and the whole thing going in, that's just beautiful. I love that. Yeah, this cat is something else.
Phenomenal. That's phenomenal.
He was the nephew of legendary jazz, pop, and blues singer Nellie Luther.
Okay.
Nellie Lucher. That's her name. She's on Capitol Records.
Somebody had some in because he sure did get around, and he's been playing for a long time.
Must have been at Motown about the same time that Jimi Hendrix was playing guitar at Motown.
Oh, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago. So that's going to take us to...
That's from A Tropical Christmas, by the way.
Right. That's going to take us to a guy that we know. And you know what? It was just recently the anniversary of a plane crash in 1967 that involved and included the great Otis Redding and members of the Bar-Kays. All but
being called
one. Well, all
James
but
Alexander.
One perished in the plane crash. The other was on a commercial flight, and that's James Alexander. And so this guy was one of the people who was selected as a I am envious yet today, all these years later, to replace the original keyboard player for the Bar-Kays. And his name is Winston Stewart, and we're going to listen to him do the first Noel.
Now, that doesn't sound like it was written in 1732.
No.
But it was.
Yeah.
The first Noel.
It was expressed just a few years ago.
I mean, Winston Stewart. It's from his CD, The Noel Project, that he put out in 2009.
That's right. That's right. A proud graduate of
Melrose. Yeah. Riffin on
in Orange
CHAZ.
Mountain, Tennessee, for you guys around the world. It's a very, very special place. But Winston was a member of the Barcades for like 25 years, I believe.
It was a long time.
And took some time off. He took a sabbatical, and during that time, he had a life-altering, life-changing, life-enhancing experience where he found a new Lord and Savior.
Yeah.
And so he's been doing a new thing ever since.
Winston, he has that signature sound of Winston. Though he still got, you can hear that little rock in there.
Yes. Yeah, he's one of the line and lineage of fantastic keyboard players that came out of Memphis.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so is this other cat that's coming up.
Talk about him.
Ernest Williamson Jr. Now he's old Olive Baptist Church. That was the church he was at.
Mm-hmm.
And his family moved to Memphis from Chicago in '68. He was in junior high school. His dad relocated to another church. Went to church in Chicago. He went to school in Northern Illinois. Ernest also was one of the original members of Voodoo Village.
Voodoo Village.
Yeah,
Fantastic
in Memphis, Tennessee. Ernest, he's a really cool piano player, and he's a family full of musicians, killer musicians. And man, I love this version of Away in a Manger that he does on his CD, Oh Holy Night, that he produced.
He's toured with artists like Santana, Chick Corea, Al Green, B.B. King, Kirk Whalum, Isaac Hayes, and others.
Yeah.
So we're going to get out of here with Away in the Manger by Ernest Williamson and Malvin, of course. If we were cheese, they might call us aged.
And if we were cars, they may call us classic. If we were wine, they may call us vintage.
Doesn't matter, though, because we call ourselves blessed and highly favored to be with you here on Riffin on Jazz. I'm Howard Robertson.
And I'm Malvin Massey.
And we invite you to please be good, be well, and be back with us next week for more Riffin on Jazz.
Merry Christmas,
everyone.
Riffin on Jazz. Executive produced by Kudzukian. Co-host by Howard Robertson and Malvin Massey Jr. Music curation by Howard and Malvin. And recorded at Kudzukian Studios. Riffin on Jazz. Part of the Kudzukian Network.